posterity.
Yeah. So we were just talking about opposition and life happening for us instead of to us. And something that I heard at LDS PMA this week that, sorry, now my brain like, oh my gosh, it totally went away. I hate that. I was like, I'm going to hit
the record button and it was like, reset.
Yeah. But right. So life is happening for us, not to us. And it was that I loved the thought of that sometimes a lot of us don't see our legacy, right? And I think it was Molly Bonner who said this in his keynote speech, which was, think of some people that did not see their legacy. Joseph Smith, Jesus Christ. Like, who did Christ teach to? This small, little, tiny audience. Who does his message reach today? And so just thinking about that, and both of those men, and same with Joseph Smith, right? Both of those men, or even Moroni in the Book of Mormon, our very final prophet in the Book of Mormon, who did he reach? The scriptures. That was it. Like his audience was the golden plates, right? To those of us he could see, but he never had met us. He had just seen us. And so he had seen what his legacy was and hoped it would be that, right? And that was his final message, is about faith, hope, and charity. And he had a lot of resistance as well. So some things to think about is that trickle effect. Those people we're going to reach that we influence by association, by the events that we do, by the books that we're writing, the courses we do, the community that we build. We may never see the fruits of our labors while we live, but that doesn't diminish our message and our mission any less. So just some thoughts. So yeah, have come to mind that I wasn't planning on sharing, but they just kind of came. So
that's true. And I don't remember. Do you remember, Lamira, that I don't remember which meeting it was, but in some meeting, maybe DTLC a long time ago in a land far, far away, Connie was talking about all those people that like Laura Ingalls Wilder, who didn't write the Little House series until she was in her 60s and had no idea what effect it would have on, but she named all these people that didn't do things until, like Grandma Moses and stuff, who didn't really do things that they're known for. They didn't leave their legacy, so to speak, until they were in their 60s, 70s, or 80s. And they didn't, they were just doing what they're doing. Because she was talking about how a lot of women say, oh, I'm too old to whatever, fill in the blank. And she said, you're not. A lot of the best things that we have came from women that did things later, because that was the season that they needed to do them in. And now we have those things to change our lives for the better.
Love that. Yes. And I think she has a whole blog post on it with Julia Child and
Mother Teresa and just a whole bunch of.
Yeah. When you think, and that's who came to mind, is when you think of Mother Teresa, do you think of young Mother Teresa?
No.
The
little wrinkly lady.
So it's just amazing how that works. And, so just some thoughts there, because I think we all go through that. And I loved it. I love that. I saw at LDS PMA, one of the speakers put up about imposter syndrome, right? And it had all of these like different, it was a circle graph. And it said, you feel it here and then here and here, but basically everybody feels it. It doesn't matter. And at some point you feel like you're in the wrong place, right? And if you feel that way, it means you're in the right place, because you are humble. I just think, who am I for such a time as this, right? Who am I to be here? Who am I to be the one? And we probably hear that all the time, right? How many of us hear that constantly, like, oh, I love this about you, or you're so good at this, and you're going, but am I? Like, do I really know? And you do it anyway. Did Nephi know how to build a boat? No. Did he learn? Yes. You know, and we always go back to Nephi in the boat, but sometimes it's hard to go back because we're like, okay, but he's this big name. He's, you know,
But he
but
wasn't before he built the boat.
no. And who was his audience, right? People who tried to kill him over and over and over again. So
His family. That must have really hurt.
yeah.
You know, he's a little 15-year-old kid. Well, not little. He always says how large he is in stature. But, you know, I think we all do that. And I think that's the exact reason why pushback is a good sign.
My husband always says, and I used to say this all the time, like a couple of years ago, but Nephi saw angels. Like if I saw angels, I would totally stop smoking. I would stop swearing. Like I would stop it all.
Well, Laman and Lemuel saw angels too.
Well, that's what I told him. I'm like, listen, I think even if you saw an angel, you would figure out a way in your mind to be like, that wasn't real, or like it just, I've heard that somewhere.
Mhm.
I tried to explain it to him yesterday. He was like, no, if I saw an angel, I would be like the best person in all the world.
You know what? And it's funny you bring that up because I was thinking about that today or last night and thinking about, okay, a few months ago when I'm like, okay, I'm going to really tighten in like my health journey, that kind of thing. I told my husband, I'm like, I now give you permission to slap things out of my hands. Well, last night I realized as I'm sitting there at the sink and I thought, it doesn't matter if I tell somebody else to do that. It doesn't matter. It's really up to me. It has no bearing. Is my husband really going to come slap that out of my hand? You know, how many times do you have to caca for somebody to stop? And it doesn't matter. When we make the decision internally that we are all in, even if we have bumps and bruises and trips and falls, and some of us deep ravines that we fall into over and over again and have to climb out and figure out, it really is up to us that we've made the decision that we're not going backwards, or that when we go backwards a little bit, we're going to get back up and try to move forward again. It doesn't matter what my husband thinks. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks, or I encourage them to tell me to do. It's all me and what I do and partner with my Father in heaven. So it's funny that you brought that up, Angie, because I didn't, like, it's a thought that came to me. I'm like, isn't it funny how we're kind of thinking this? So I'm glad you all showed up today with the massive pushback that you are each feeling in your spheres, because some of you, like, well, all of us, like, it's just, you know how it is when you start counting it up, it's overwhelming to ourselves and we're living in it, right? And so sometimes we have to continually not think about the rocks that are being on top of us, but focus on the glimmers of lights that are coming through those rocks. The ones that we can see, that we know are out there, that we know we're headed towards. And that's what we have to focus on, and who is the source of that light? Jesus Christ. And so that would be what I encourage, is we continue to just day in and day out, try to push through that, and we're getting stronger. And it feels like that it's like when you're digging a hole as a kid and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to make this hole, and you dig and it caves in, and you dig and it caves in, but you just to continue to remember who is your captain, who is your CEO, and who are you partnering with. So that is what I would start with today. And we did not jump in with a prayer. Would somebody like to say that? I'll go ahead and pause it. Okay, so let's jump in. I would love to hear from each of you one win and one learning you had. Look for the light, because there are wins, even if it feels like there's not, there are wins. So what is one win and one learning each of you had? And we'll try to go around quickly because I want to do some teaching today for sure. So who would like to start with a win and a learning?
This week was heavy. I realized that I wasn't taking like time for self-care, so I started doing that again, and I was like, oh, like I can now like not be in such like a funk. But then I was also able to like get my course outline like a good chunk worked through. So I was excited about that and some other projects done.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned that self-care piece, right? That learning that we really have to take care of that. And it's kind of funny when that's part of your one big message, right? And we have to relearn it over and over again, but that's why we do it. And we share that because it's our learning and sharing. So love that. Okay. Angie or Jerusha, who's got a win and a learning?
Okay, Angie, I know you do.
You me?
You. I can go first if you want. That is fine. But I can see it in your eyes. You totally do. Okay, so I have my OBM. I'm super excited. Lamira helped me nail down. There was a piece of it that a couple of pieces, but I just needed to refine it. And it just didn't click into place quite right. And plus, I felt like, okay, and this is like really wordy, and I'm not going to put this on everything, and but then she helped me to figure out a shorter version of it. So I have the longer version, and then the abbreviated version. And I'm so sorry, I'm puppy sitting. Anyway, it's technically my daughter's puppy, but he has sort of made himself mine. And so when she's not around, especially, it's like, pay attention, like having a toddler again. Anyway, but I love that feeling, because even though I'm open to it changing again if it needs to, it just really feels good to feel like, oh, I think I finally have that nailed down. And a big clue to that was I was giving my my practice keynote last night, and I found myself taking pieces of my OBM and inserting it into my talk without even thinking. And I was like, yeah, because that feels right. That's good. And so that was huge. And then over the weekend, I normally work on, my website or my whatever over the weekend. And this weekend, honestly, I just got so much pushback. I was just like, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do some self-care. I'm going to focus, all those things that, you need to do when you just don't have anything to give, really. And I felt the Spirit say, it's okay. The website will still be there later. And so I was like, thank you. I needed that. But sometimes I think we put pressure on ourselves without even realizing it. I know we do, but we just start doing it, and then we have to recognize that. And, it's, why am I not doing better? Why did I make that mistake? And, oh no. And like the newsletter this morning, I was like, that button didn't turn out the way that I put it in there, and Lamira was like, it's okay, breathe. But at the same time, it wasn't the end of the world. It's just, we put pressure on ourselves, I think, sometimes, to have everything turn out just so. And maybe we need to ask ourselves, okay, does it change who I am if it doesn't? Does it change, like, my eternal destiny or anyone else's eternal salvation if it doesn't? I mean, I really think what I thought before, which is mistakes are an opportunity to learn. They're not a condemnation. So I'm learning to not shame myself and to get rid of those patterns of, you shouldn't have done that, to, what can we learn from this? And it changes everything, just like changing 2 to 4, like Lamira was talking about. Because that's what I did with this. This isn't something happening to me. This is something happening for me. I'm convinced of that. But, it's something we have to remember again and again and again. Like Amy Wright said in her talk in April, we have to choose Christ again and again and again. It's not a one and done thing.
Thank you, Jerusha. Thanks.
I want to hear your one big message. How did it turn out?
Okay, I'll put both versions in the chat, the long one and the short one.
Because we talked about, and this is one thing we talked about with StoryBrand, is that you do your long one, and then you do kind of your short one. So it's kind of like that quick elevator pitch. Go ahead and read it, Jerusha.
I am a Christian life coach who helps overwhelmed, resigned, and struggling women become empowered in their divine identities and spiritual strengths, partner with Christ, and magnify their gifts to live up to their privileges. And then the short version is I help struggling, resigned women to step into their divine identities, partner with Christ, and magnify their gifts to live up to their privileges. And I gotta say, as much as I love all the details of the first one, the second one is like my favorite. Really like that.
I love it. It turned out really, really good.
So thanks. And I love and you can see when she says it, that she's smiling, it's light, it's not heavy, right? And she's able to say, yeah, this is exactly what we do. So, and it's that whole sifting and sorting of it all. So, all right, Angie, tell us about your event because you've had a lot of good things happen. So share something that was happy.
It felt like it's been good. Taylor, your letter I got in the mail was really good. And it came on a much needed day. Thank you so, so much. It's hanging on my wall so I can read it whenever I'm down. So thank you super much.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, well, I got all my stuff online. I got a website. It's not ideal, but I'm actually kind of learning how to use it myself a little bit. And afterwards, I'm going to meet with Lady Boss. They're going to design everything for me and show me and my daughter how to use it. But, I tend to do things backwards. And, I don't know. I hope everything goes good with this. I think I'm slipping into some old patterns of freak out mode. And I'm trying super hard not to. Today, I just got up and went for a walk and had to get away from the computer for a minute because I've just been sat in this seat for, I feel like 3 weeks straight. And no self-care. Haven't even been getting ready. I've struggled a lot. I've had to write down my wins in a book every day so I can look at them. But I got my business created. I got my EIN number. I got my bank account. I got all that stuff together. And, now it's really just the little teeny nitty gritty details and hoping and praying that people come because I've spent a lot of money out of my pocket for it. So I'm just, and my husband was awesome. He came in and was like, listen, even if only 4 people show up, it's 4 people's lives that you could have saved. And, and who cares about the money? It's money he's given us. And I guess I'm kind of looking at it in a different way. And I probably need to look at it different later, but we have a building company that God has blessed us with. And it's given us enough money that I can do this and it's not hurting my bank account. I'm fine. So, but I still want people to come. And I think I'm tripping. I'm going back to my Eagle Mountain City days of doing events and having PTSD and just going, okay, but it's not for me. This isn't for me, it's for him. And whoever's supposed to come, he has the power to hopefully make come. I don't know. I'm struggling really bad.
We could talk about that too. I know you and I have a coaching call after that. So just you listed off a ton of wins. And that's the thing to be mindful of is sometimes those old patterns are to focus on what is not done and what has not moved forward yet. Whereas if we look at it, okay, in 3 weeks, in 2.5, 3 weeks, how much has gotten done? All the presenters you have lined up. And I know one of them's been texting me. She's like, how's my bio sound? Because we're friends, right? And so I'm like, this is great. And she's excited, and looking at who you've got lined up. You've got a place. You're getting it out on social media. I saw on Wendy's and I saw on yours. And you have people who then that we can start sharing that with others, right? That we're able to go back and say, hey, and we can talk about that in our call, but one thing would be to get kind of a social media package together and you send it out to all of your presenters and you tell them and ask them when to post it so that way they're getting on there and they're getting the registration. And so those are things too, but you've done a lot and you've done this. And I love that you said, I'm falling into old patterns and to write that down and just to say, okay, this is old and I'm not doing that this way. I'm moving forward in faith because I don't have to And she did make her post public. She did that for us on there. So
Yeah, I finally did. So I didn't know how to do it. So, and I'm hoping that it worked.
yeah, how you do is when you go up to that little audience thing and it has the two little people and you click that and it says, or you edit your
It says
post and
public or
edit
private.
privacy. And you can say public. Yeah.
I did go in and edit it though, and it should be public.
Yeah. So,
And if you guys, if either of you want to do a vendor booth there, come and do it. Show what you have to offer, like 100%. If you want to put stuff in the swag bags, I just ask that you put like a Tootsie Roll or something, so it's not just a bunch of papers in the swag bag. But yeah, I'm good. I'm just hoping it turns out. I was excited for today, so I could just right now not think about it.
And that's okay. And that's all right. You know, it's kind of like let it do its work too. So we work and let it do its work. So I love that. These are great, ladies. And just, I mean, as you list off the things that you have been doing, it's been a lot. And I know, and Taylor's done more things that she hasn't even said she's done, like trying to do other things on this side. And so just know that we see it and he sees it. He sees it. So, all right, we're going to jump into some quick training today. And because I want to be able to put this up on, our tier 1 so that we can record this and put it up there so you can go through. So when we go through the foundations, right, you do your one big message, you do all of that. And then the next step is social media. Yay! And so today I'm going to talk to you about how we're going to help optimize your profile to make it more fun and to really say what it is that you do. Okay. So here we go. We're going to learn how to optimize your social media profile. I'm so excited about this because I was listening to a gal at LDS PMA conference and I went, oh, this is perfect. I can take this back and get you on the right course. So if you have questions, like stick them in there or ask them, and I'll leave some time for questions at the end. So what we're going to start first is just basically, we're going to start with super simple things like your profile name, the photos, your bio, things like that you can do. And we're going to start small because then we'll work up in another lesson of what to post and that kind of thing. So the first thing is we're going to start with that profile picture. Okay. When you put up a profile picture, you want this to be either a headshot of you, or if you are doing a company, you want it to be of your company's logo. Okay. So if it's you're branding, if you're going to become a speaker and people are going to do we'll talk about your profile name and username in a minute, but have a headshot of you. Now, if you're somebody like Angela Myers, who she is a company, right? She's got a company called Kudos for Kids, Kudos for Families. She's going to have her logo there. Does that make sense? So if it's a person, why is it a good idea to have a picture of you, a personal shot? Why would you do that?
Trademark, like people need to know who you are. Like
Absolutely.
Associate you with your business.
I love that. First of all, they know who the face of the business is, right? So important. Another part is, or Taylor, did you have something?
Oh, I see it. I feel like it builds that like connection.
Exactly. Right on. Like people want to see your eyes, right? So have you ever gotten onto somebody's profile and you're like, I'm not sure if that's the right person. You keep like trying to screenshot and zoom in and see the picture, be like, is that really the person? So yeah, you want a headshot. You want it high quality, right? And luckily for us, most of our cameras on our phones now can do that, but make sure that it's a high quality photo. If you have something where somebody's done a headshot, do that. If not, have somebody take one for you, and just with a phone until you could get a branded picture. Do it up close, do it branded. So that way, if you're not grunge, don't wear grunge. So I'm trying to wait. There we go. So here's some examples of Connie. So I've got her Instagram profile as well as her LinkedIn profile. And you can see we've got two different headshots, but you can see they're up close. They're branded with her look and feel. Both of these headshots are ones that she has used professionally. You can find them on her website. They can use as speakers. Okay. So that would be your first thing. So if you're, yes, Trusha.
Sorry about that. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea that I think I'm getting is if you work with people like say one-on-one, like I'm a faith-based life coach, you probably want to put a headshot in there because it's you personally working with people. But
Yes.
like Angela Myers, it's more about her product.
Yeah. Well, she also has a nonprofit organization, right? So there's an organization. So another example would be if Wendy Jones, who has the Sister Project, she's going to have her Sister Project logo. Does that make sense? So because it's a nonprofit organization, or if you have a company. So if you look at Studio 5 on KSL, it has their logo there. It doesn't have the face of Brooke Walker, who is the hostess. It actually has their logo there. Does that make sense? Or you go to the church, like the church news, it has their logo. Okay. So it just depends on what that is. But if you are being the one branded, and most of you, it is going to be you, you know, but if you have two different ones, then yeah. So going with that next. So the next step is your bio. Okay. And that is, and it's going to look different whether you're on Instagram or you're on Facebook or you're on LinkedIn, but either way, in your bio, you basically want like your one big message. What do you do? And it's going to say, who do you serve? What do you do? How do you help? And on Instagram, it's recommended to use bullet points or emojis or something to break it up. You don't need to over emoji it, right? But kind of gives you an idea of your personality. Okay. But that way people can just, they're basically trying to get a snapshot of who you are. However, if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn, so if I go back, let me go back one. So if you look at Connie's, you see on Instagram, it's bulleted out. She's a speaker, she's an author, a TV host, podcaster, right? But you go down to LinkedIn, it's got her bio's quick and it's short. On LinkedIn is a little different. And if you were to go to her Facebook page, you would see it's more in a paragraph form. Right? On this page, this is what I do. I help women, become writers, speakers, and media presences for him through retreats and a leadership circle. That might be what she says, right? Might be a little bit different, but you're going to say that, well, what do you do and how do you do it? So I know, just as an example, that Taylor is going to be, she is looking at one of her side businesses and putting it up. And if she does like her MTC delivery, she's going to have a logo for her MTC delivery, and she's going to talk about what she does, when she does it. You know, we do deliveries Tuesdays and Thursdays this time, same day delivery or 24 to 48 hour delivery. She's going to have it right there so people know right away what she's giving, who she's doing it for, and where they're doing it. So, but when she comes back to her other thing that might be a community or something, right? It's going to be different. So, okay, so that's on your bio. Okay. And then the next step is your username. So the username versus your profile name especially on Instagram. So let me show you a little bit on here. Okay. So your username is like Connie's right here. It's Connie_Sokol. And one thing that I learned that I love is that your username, you want to be as close to your first and last name as possible, whether it's separated by a period or an underscore, if you have to put those in there because it's taken. So if you have to put a number at the end of it, do that. But put it as close to your personal name as possible, because that's who they're going to find. If they're like, oh, I'm looking for Connie Sokol, I need to go find her. Okay. So then you've got your profile name, which is the black right here in the bold right there that says Connie Sokol. And one thing that we're probably going to add here, but that I loved is your profile name is your name plus your niche. So for example, let me see if I can go to I think the next one. Yes, right here. So an example. So Mimi Bascom is who I went and learned from. And you'll see her big thing was she put some keywords here, Latter-day Saint, because that's her audience. Okay, that's her audience. And if you look at Sarah, it's about fam, farm, home, food, and worship. Those are like, do you hear those? If you know her one big message, it's all about that. Okay. And so in that profile name, you could do your first name, like Angie, and then, you know, be real, but you would want something more like speaker, event planner, or I'm not saying that's what you are, but you know, whatever that is. Maybe it's, she gave an example of, let me find it. I really liked. So an example would be like Laura, easy, healthy recipes, right? If you're doing recipes, or if you're doing clean eating and you're like, okay, Jerusha, clean eating coach, or faith-based life coach. That would be easy for Jerusha. Jerusha, faith-based life coach. Does that make sense? So part of that is it's searchable. So people are going to see you. And also it gives an idea of what you're doing. That makes sense. So you might be a Christ-centered speaker. You might be whatever it is. Now on these, on your username, you can change that like once every 14 days. So you want to make sure that that you kind of think about it first. So like I went in and changed mine because mine used to say Lamyra K. Wheel. So I went and changed it to Lamyra.wheelwright. Does that make sense? So I'm like, okay, that's my username. On your profile name, that might be a little less. I think what I understand is that your profile name can only be changed once every 30 days. So really think about what you want that to say first before you just go in and just start throwing and editing it. Does that make sense? So, but yeah, have your first name and what you do. Okay, so basically this week I would insight, your assignment would be to go and do a profile check. Okay, so you want to go look at your photo. Is it quality? Is it clear? Is it branded? Could you change that? So that way we can see your cute face, right? Or if you are a company, does it have your logo on it? And make sure that on your logo, when you put that up there, you want to do the very simple logo, not the one that necessarily that has all the words but has the picture logo, if that makes sense. Right. So you know how you have, so like with Jerusha, if she were going to do, like it was a community, right? She was going to do her Forward with God community. It was separate. It was a company. Then she might have her lotus flower there versus having all the words. Does that make sense? So, because you usually have a couple different logos. Okay. So look at your photo, then go ahead and update your username and your profile name. Think about that, get that up there, and then update your bio with your one big message, your audience, how you do what you do, how you help them. So does that make sense? So that's what I would encourage you to do this week. If you do not have a new social media platform and you're still deciding, okay, well, where am I doing? I would encourage you to pick at least one, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. Start with one, go back to when you did your media match and where you want to go and start doing that. Okay. So that's your assignment for this week. Are there any questions on this piece of the social media? Okay. And if you do, feel free to reach out to me, who you are, what you do. Yes, Jerusha.
If we do our little, I get the bullet point concept. And if it's something that we're going to do, but we're not actually doing at this moment, like I'm in the speaker track and I would like to speak, should we still put that up there or should we wait until we're kind of more, like at least we have our first booking or something, you know?
Yeah, you can say speaker and training. You could put speaker. I mean, are you a speaker? You know, are you out there going to go get your gigs and you could say speaker, you know, you could put that in there. Because as a speaker, while you're not completely certified yet, you could still speak at events. You could still speak at, you know, release, and that might be something you put in there is coach, speaker, author. We might even put aspiring author, but in that bullet, the bio can be changed. It's more of that profile name that you kind of have to be more aware of, but your bio, you can change a little bit more, I think. So anyway, okay. All right. If there are no more questions on that, what other questions can we help you with today? How can we help you? How can we serve you today? What can we do? It need to be about anything. It doesn't have to be about the social media. Just open it up to where you're at and what you're working on and how can we help you? You are muted, Angie, but we got the idea of all the things. So
Yeah, I say spread my event around everywhere. And
Okay.
if not, register to come. Come.
awesome. So what would be awesome is if even in the circle, you said, okay, we're registering for my event, put like a graphic in WhatsApp because we can all save that to our phone and post it. Does that make sense? And then give people the Facebook post, hey, will you share this post? Or here's some word, this is what we're doing. Can you share this link for people? And people in the circle will do that. I've actually seen it, like Diane has shared it. I've seen Diane put it up. I've seen a few others. So, start spreading that word. You've got, 15 of us right here that are ready to get that out there. So
Well, and we already pray for Connie to get the right people that need to come to her retreat, like this retreat, who needs to come to this retreat, and we pray for that. It's the same thing. We just pray for the right people to come to your event that need to
That
come.
would be awesome. That'd be awesome.
but yeah, so if you have that, please share that so we can have that. Anything else that you need from us on that? Any questions? Or you and I are going to meet afterwards, but
Yeah, not right now. Like I'm so used to, and where it's so close, and I'm so used to being like, just because I know what I'm doing. But I need to do this. Next time I need to do this. I can't do it all anymore. Like I need to let some stuff go. But it was so, happened so fast that like I knew I could do it. So I'm learning the things I need to do differently.
And I think
Let it
that's
go.
beautiful that you said that because you jumped in to what you know, right? Which is doing events last minute, run and do it. But you've done it differently in the sense that you went into with an awareness to help me, like, Lord, help me see how I'll be able to do this differently, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's beautiful. And so, yeah, to be able to do that, I think that's great. So Taylor or Drusha, anything I can help you with?
Yeah, so I know this will be like a minute down the road, but for the group I want to do, like I know like my tagline where I don't even know if it would be the group name is like regardless, keep trying. Would
Mhm.
that be like the logo I would use, or would I do like my face as the like profile?
For like your community?
Yeah, and like social media and everything.
Yeah, let me show you. So what you would do for a community, this is one thing that so Connie has her Purpose-Filled Women one, and I'm going to pull up let me pull up the screenshot that I just took of that. I'm glad you asked because I actually, so this is you do a cover photo for that.
All right.
And originally what we did when we did Purpose-Filled Women, we had the logo across. So it was a Facebook cover logo. But since then, now that we've done retreats, we now have the pictures that go with the people who are there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that way you get an idea. So, but in the beginning, you could just do like that logo and it just be a banner across.
Okay, perfect. So you'd almost have like 2 pages, like one for community and then one for like
Yes.
speaking or whatever.
Yeah. And we'll talk about your community, but yeah, what you'll do is the whole idea is on your social media, you have a personal or a business creator profile, right? And that's where you post everything and you lead them to your community. Now,
Okay.
now there are some other people that like Michelle Gifford, she has made Instagram her community, her free community, because she'll do her lives, she'll do them all there, and she really does engagement there. And then she'll do a community outside of that, which is her subscription, right? Her money marketers community that they pay. And I'm sure she has a way that she has a group for them somewhere, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but if you just do it in a Facebook group, you can do it like that. And you can even just have, regardless, keep trying. And then underneath, women who are in the thick of it, making it every day, or having a little log line to go with it, whatever would go with that,
Okay. No, thank you. Yeah.
It might even be those like words that, like in your one big message that you have your outcomes: strengthen, renew, build, or whatever. I'm just making up words, but does that make sense? What you have there? So it might be connect, strengthen, and hope, or hope, faith, charity, whatever it is. So.
Okay, perfect. No, that helps clear that up. Thank you.
You bet. That was a great question. So anything else, Drusha, or we've got a couple more minutes.
Thank you for.
I'm so glad you all showed up. Here's what I would like, because I know that sometimes it's hard to do this, but I want to make sure that we get, we set your weekly goal, because this helps me know as I check in with you later in the week, and I'm going to be better at that too, to be able to just hop in. So I'm going to give you each just a minute. I'm going to put this right here. So click on that link in the chat and go ahead and go set your weekly goal. I forgot to send the rate and review, but if you send your goal, like my goal is this, what is that one thing? And maybe it's the social media. I'm going to update my social media profile this week, or and maybe Angie is, I'm going to get social media out to people to share my event, whatever that is, whatever that number one thing is that you're doing, wherever you're at.
So I'm thinking I'm going to put, I'm getting stuff into my website, and I'm going to, just do it a piece at a time. It's not going to be, like done this week, but, when you said, I was saying I need to put photos on there, but I can't exactly put photos of myself on there right now. And I had the thought, well, I could, and then just be like, this is where I'm at right now, and then later change them or whatever. And then you said, why can't you put photos of yourself on there right now? So I'm thinking, okay, do I want to do that? Just because I could take some like on my own right now. I don't want to, like, I don't want to hire a professional photographer is what I'm saying.
Well, you could take, so you have a headshot that you've sent us before, and you could just say, hey, hi, I'm Jerusha, or this is what I do. And I would just say for that, because as you work with Tasha on that, usually at that front, you're going to have a picture of your audience in the ideal life is what you're going to do at the beginning, right? Well, this is what we're leading them to. And then you tend to next have a picture of that pain point, right? Yeah. Stress, resigned, hard. And then usually after that is when you say, hi, I'm Jerusha. This is how I can help. This is what I do, if that makes sense. And if you have a picture, great. If you have a family picture, if you have something, but something that would be kind of that high quality. And if you want to send them to me and say, hey, what do you think about these? Because you want it to look inviting, welcoming, what you do, that type of thing. So, but if you're like, okay, this is what I have. Yeah, Angie.
If you guys need any headshots or anything taken, I can do it. Like I have a professional camera and stuff, and my daughter is a photographer and she can edit them. So if you're wanting or needing something for free, I'm happy to help you do it. I'm not perfect, but I'll totally help you. I did my mother-in-law this weekend and they look awesome. So
I love it.
That is so sweet. I live in Idaho.
Oh crap. Yeah. That don't help.
And she lives like out in Timbuktu, Idaho. But
you can take them though with your phone, and if you need help editing them, like the lighting or anything like that, just take them from like your stomach up, right? And just do different shots, and then we can totally crop and edit them if you need, and I'll totally help you do that for free if you need help.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is I'm just going to take a few, and I do want, like when it, you know, it talks about you,
Mhm.
I do want a picture of myself like this, because part of my message is, you know, that this is part of my journey.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and so when I don't want to wait and be like, well, my hair's all grown out. When you say, you know, I went through this, you know, it's like, well, that's great. But when you actually see a picture of somebody, you're like, oh, you really did go through that. You know, like it just has a different feel to it.
Yeah, and you'll kind of do a shorter bio on that page, and then you'll have an about page that will have more. And so on that front page, you definitely want something that is going to be branded, that have that look and that feel that people say, yes, I want to go to her. Does that make sense? And so as you look at that and you do that, say, yeah, I can do this here. And it just might be, you know, sometimes it's that outfit. And I know you have a lot of really cute outfits because I've seen some of your really cute things. So, but you know, those like that colorful, that bright, inviting, that just, so that's kind of that branded is, and I don't want to say, oh yeah, you have to have this, but there is a look and feel that you want to make sure that you have that welcoming too. So, because I've had to learn that myself. I'm just going to be honest. That's something I'm like, oh, because I was always like, oh, I grew up with all boys. I had one preening brother. So go ahead, Taylor.
I was saying I may take Angie up on that because all my photographer friends moved back east, and so when I don't feel comfortable with a photographer, I tend to get like this like drunk eye thing. I don't know. They like just like are like pose like this, and then they snap it at like when I'm blinking, and I like, yeah, I get drunk eye.
Girl, we'll have fun. My daughter always tells me, she's like, Mom, just do this thing. I know it sounds dumb, but just go ha 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 ha. And when you do it, it's like automatic. You just look great. It's awesome.
Well, and it totally changes smiling and laughing. It induces the serotonin levels to like go up. And so just by smiling, and Taylor, you like, if you take Angie up on that, you would have the cutest photos too. Like that's the thing is I'm like, I'm sad that photographers haven't captured your sunshine because you have sunshine bright eyes. So
yeah, no, when they have like good ones who like I can connect with, I get great ones. And then other ones they're like, no, you have to post this, and they come out like, like this is terrible.
like that was entertaining.
So they go in the drawer of like, oh, here is like how Taylor looks drunk without drinking.
We all have those. We all have those where or we pay somebody to do it and we went, oh, okay, not what I was thinking, but okay. Yeah. Love those. So I love it. Angie, you're so sweet to offer that. Thank you. I think if we were all there. So, but yeah, Trisha, just play with it too and see what works. And you're like, okay, this is what I want the look and feel, you know, that placeholder. So, but yeah, they definitely
I can always change it, but I want to stay on brand. And I was thinking, you know, just in the about section, that's where, you know, this headshot's going.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of take it a piece at a time.
I love it. Well, ladies, you are in my thoughts and my prayers, and please reach out through Marco, through WhatsApp. If you are like, hey, you know, WhatsApp if it's shorter, and audio messages work great too, you know, or even Marco, if you're like, you need to just process it and talk it out. I am good for that because I'm the same way. So love you, ladies, and we'll get this posted and up in tier 1. We'll get it up in member vault and we'll put it in the WhatsApp as well. So, okay. Love you.